Do you really need to spend time stretching? The answer might surprise you. Last week I ran across a video by Athlean X that claimed that you don't really need to do stretching anymore. Now, while he made some really good points that I agree with, there is a catch. Inside Jeff's video, he talks about research and a study that was done in 2021 that claims that a dedicated strength training routine is just as effective as static stretching. Now, I actually thought he made a ton of really good points. The first point he talked about is that most people are super busy, and we tend, as busy individuals, to skip stretching altogether. We focus on the bread and butter in our workouts, which is lifting weights, going for runs, going for walks, that kind of stuff. I completely agree with this. I know that I've worked with thousands of clients over the years, and 99.9% of them typically skip stretching because they're just too busy. I also agree with the point that going through a full range of motion when training is honestly one of the best ways to develop flexibility and range of motion. Your fully stretched to fully contracted position in each exercise is the most effective way to build your range of motion as you're training. As a busy dad and entrepreneur, it's music to my ears to not have to set aside 15 to 20 minutes for training every single workout session, when I could be putting that time into my actual training when I'm lifting weights. Plus, as a coach for the better part of the last 17 years and working with thousands of both in-person and online clients, I can tell you that most people just don't have that little bit of extra time to stretch after their workout. And funny enough, for the better part of the last 5 to 6 years, I've been telling clients that one of the best and easiest ways to build more flexibility is to really develop perfect exercise execution. This means going through a full range of motion on every single exercise and never sacrificing that range of motion for added weight. We really want to make sure that we're taking our muscle bellies and our joints through proper exercise execution each and every time. Become students of the game when it comes to proper form, and your flexibility and range of motion will improve dramatically. But that being said, I do think there actually is a time and place for stretching. But I'm not talking about static stretching where we're reaching for our toes and holding for 20 to 30 seconds. I'm talking about active stretching. In other words, I'm talking about mobility work. Mobility work is something we actually build into all of our client training programs. Most people are super busy sitting around. What this basically means is you're at your desk, you're in your car, you're on your couch, and you're just not very active throughout the day. All of this sitting and non-activity leads to a lot of tightness and a lot of issues in certain areas, especially your shoulders, your chest, even your lower back, your glutes, your hamstrings. All these areas just build up tightness over time. And so when we get into our workouts, the last thing we want to do is jump into a full-blown training session if these areas need to be loosened up a bit. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to build stretching into your training program. But before I do, could you do me a huge favor? Just let me know if you stretch or do mobility work in the comments below. Okay, let's talk about the 3 ways I suggest you build stretching and mobility into your training plan. The first thing is to build mobility work into your active warm-up. This shouldn't come as a big surprise, as I just told you how we build out our client programs. Some of my favorite movements include things like the world's greatest stretch, reverse snow angels, arm circles, 90-90 shin box, and even just doing body weight movements. I know it might sound crazy, but literally just doing your average body weight squats or body weight good mornings can do wonders when it comes to building your mobility. And most importantly, preventing injury as you get into your training session. Making sure your joints and range of motion are fully warmed up, lubricated, and ready to go. Point number 2, and I'm fully going to agree with Jeff Cavalier from Athlean X. You should use your full range of motion, everything from the fully stretched position to the fully contracted position in all your exercises, especially on your first 1 or 2 sets. I like to use my warm-up sets to do this. In fact, for the first few reps, I'll just get a nice stretch, hold that stretch for a few seconds, and then I get a contraction. I'm not going heavy here because number 1, it's my warm-up, and also number 2, I'm being deliberate about working on my range of motion. This is how I like to build my own personal stretching and actual static stretching type of movement into my training routine, and how you can too. You don't have to do this for every single exercise. Pick 1 or 2 exercises per body part during the course of your training week, and use some of the warm-up sets to just work on your range of motion and flexibility. Step number 3. This is where I slightly disagree. I do think there is opportunity to build static stretching into your weekly routine, or heck, even just your monthly routine. The best time to do it is to pick your active recovery days. The days where you're not lifting weights, you're probably just going for a walk. We recommend our clients inside of our coaching program either schedule movement, which is walking or some form of cardio, or muscle into their training day before you go out for a walk, or actually after you go out for a walk, spend 1 or 2 minutes doing some static stretching. This doesn't have to be anything crazy. In fact, what I suggest you do is just pick out the areas of your body that feel a little bit tight. You don't have to stretch the entire body. Don't get overwhelmed by this. Just pick 1 or 2 movements, hold it for 30 to 60 seconds, and that's all you gotta do, okay? This is the easiest way to find time for static stretching. And if you wanna get crazy, you could do some mobility before you go out for a walk. I like to run because I do a lot of training for races, so I always do some mobility work before and then just a little bit of static stretching after my runs. This is just part of my routine, but I don't do static stretching every day and I don't do mobility work every day. In fact, it's built in a way that allows me to sustain my stretching routine and include it in my overall big picture plan. If you need a next step, I actually put together a full-blown fat loss system for you that you can use right now. Just go to the link in the description of the video, download it for free. It's our 3M fat loss system. It will help you get started right away on your journey to improving how you look, feel, and perform. My name's Josiah Novak. I own and operate thetruetransformation.com. I appreciate you watching, and remember, life moves fast. Make it count. I'll see you on the next video.